So I'll call to order the meeting of the Airport Commission. It's at 4:05 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the agenda. Do you hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Helen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the agenda as proposed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 3 is public forum. What did I think of that? Did I hear all that? Okay. And I don't see any members of the public in public forum, so we will close out public forum. Move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the contents of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Helen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion, or Nick, if you want anything you want to highlight?
Yeah, still projecting or tracking employment numbers closer and closer and closer to 2019. Of course, you can see we're over last year, pretty significantly over from last year. I will kind of highlight the last page there, the garage utilization by the month. So we're a couple months behind on updating you, but 76, 77, a little bit low in July. August, September, October are going to be high. I can tell you right now, Shelby just advised me that the parking garage so far this month is around 90 to 93%. You'll hear too in Marie's report that the revenues are still very high in the parking garage, which is fantastic news.
Mm-hmm.
So out of curiosity, why would the utilization be so high if we haven't yet fully recovered on the number of?
We do not know. Honestly, we don't. And obviously there's a shift of the demographic and the business versus leisure traveler that's happened over the last few years. So we're kind of thinking that there's longer transactions potentially. There's a shift in multiple transactions happening at the same time, and just a larger shift in more people. Even though the numbers were higher for prior, more people actually parked in the garage for those similar quantity of flights. Yeah, but those are
Interesting.
my opinion versus actual.
Yeah, because I would have thought families would travel together, right?
Less cars.
So it'd be less cars.
Yeah,
but it's actually more.
I really think it's the family that typically, or rather the business traveler that typically didn't park in the garage is now being parked in the garage by a family traveler.
Okay.
So we never saw that revenue before. Now we're actually seeing it.
Huh. Do you know if that's true at other airports? I mean, is that sort
That's a
of
good
a
question.
nationwide phenomena or
Yeah.
just us?
That's a great question, and Shelby's going to be a great respondent to that. Maybe not tonight, but
Right.
I think she's got a really great working group with other ground transportation units across the country, really. So I think she'll be able to kind of hopefully pinpoint something like that. That's really interesting,
I
though.
wonder if it's related to Uber too. I know once or twice we had thought we could count on Uber.
Yeah.
And they weren't coming to the airport that
Yeah.
late at night.
Yeah.
So I would wonder if that's another
Yeah.
option. So I won't try it again.
Yeah.
You either get dropped off.
Park in the garage.
I try not to. I tend to be on a long time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. But I
That's
just
interesting
wonder
to hear
if
though,
it's
that-
related to that at all. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't want to be here at night and find out you're not renting.
Right.
Yeah, we do have a lot of taxi.
You have
taxi
taxis,
names.
so that's what gives it.
Yeah, but you're right. The number of Ubers, especially over the last couple of years, very, very low. Although the numbers are kind of peaking back up again on a revenue basis, because we still do receive that $2 transaction
More
charge.
business people use Uber and now they just drive
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, yeah. We can just certainly dive into that a little bit more, especially comparing it to.
And I know that you used to look at Canadian license plates and stuff like that. Are you still
We
doing
do.
that? And
We
is
do.
there a change in the mix in that respect?
I don't know offhand, unless Shelby knows those numbers. But we do have a tracking spreadsheet for that. We'll have to dive into that. Bring it up. Or unless Anna knows offhand.
So that I can vote on that next meeting.
Awesome.
All right, any other discussion on the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we move on to item 5, action items. So action item 5.01. Do I hear a motion to recommend to the Board of Finance and City Council to enter into a property lease with Aerodyme on Valley Road?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Moved by Helen, second by Robin. Discussion. Nick.
So this is one of our tenants, as the memo states, down in the Valley Apron. This is close to Vermont Flight Academy and some of, there's a few other tenants, Vermont Flight Academy, hangar condos. This is in our, what we refer to as the alert hangars, some of the oldest hangars really at the entire airport. We've been working with Jim Richards, the owner of Aerodyme, for quite some time now. Scheduling conflicts, but we were able to negotiate this particular deal, a 3-year lease agreement with 2 one-year options. This was also part of that commitment to all of those tenants down in the valley regarding our commitment to continue leasing with them. So this is really, besides a tenant that we're going to be talking about in executive session, this is the final tenant that we now have full extensions down in the valley with every single one of them, except one.
What does Aerodyne do?
So they build aircraft parts specifically to a commander, Piper? Rockwell commander, that's right. Dave knows all about it. I don't know too much.
And that's largely small planes, probably.
Yeah, I used to actually fly that aircraft, the 110B or 114B, yeah. And they reverse engineer because they no longer manufacture the parts for that aircraft. So they have to reverse engineer parts for that aircraft. There's a huge demand for it.
Okay, I guess we need him around.
He's got.
Somebody does.
He's very busy, very busy. Makes the parts right there. Very precision manufacturing too. And then he's one of very few part manufacturers of this particular part in the country. So he gets a lot of clients flying in, and they do maintenance right there in the hangar as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
A quick question, Nick. Do you know if they had requested the 3-year? I thought it was normally like a 5-year for them.
No, it depends. Over the years, they actually were on a month-to-month lease for about 10 years.
Okay.
So this is really a brand new lease for them, and this is what we negotiated, a 3-year with 2 one-year extensions. So they do have technically a 5-year lease.
Yeah, and are they going to be? Their condo hangar is also we call the condo hangars. That their hangar is also kind of wedged in there with the others that are a little bit overdue for maintenance. Was there any discussion in that for their lease?
Right now, it is status quo. So there's 2 hangars that they're actually occupying as part of this lease. Of course, there's going to be maintenance pertaining to making sure there's no leaks in the roof or any other safety or fire safety concerns. These hangars are scheduled to be removed in future years at the airport, completely demolished. And that's one of the reasons that we decided with a 3-year extension followed by 2 one-year options. Of course, there is language in there too, though, that we would help him relocate if the time comes for that. We're nowhere near scheduling those particular hangars for removal, but certainly something that we've had a lot of conversations with him about.
Okay, thanks.
Can I just ask, in terms of that issue, to rebuild hangars is costly. Is that something that the FAA would fund because they see it important to a airport this size?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, generally, anything that really is exclusive use, or in most cases, revenue producing, is not going to be eligible. For example, when we started building and designing our apron, for Beta and for other tenants, we're not allowed to build a certain portion of it because only one entity uses it. So when a hangar is proposed that way, it is not eligible for federal funding. No different than that apron space as well. But the ground, and there's alternatives to promoting and encouraging new hangars at the airport, which this airport definitely needs new hangars, because the demand is certainly there.
Who would typically finance them?
Private, yeah.
Private?
Yeah, a lot of private. And private,
The
but then
condo part.
or condo or group efforts is when you start getting into the larger hangars, it would certainly be private funding, especially like a Heritage, for example. If you start building a hangar that size or Beta technology.
Right now.
Yeah, 2 hangars right now.
Okay, thank you.
Right, commissioners, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any? Oh, you're both on mute. So we can't hear you. Or a hand or something.
Aye.
There we go. That makes 3. All right, so that carries. Item 5.02, do I hear a motion to recommend to the Board of Finance and City Council to enter into an agreement with Passero for the study of snow removal equipment siting?
So moved.
Moved by Helen. Do I hear a second? Proceed second. There's a second there by Jeff. Discussion, Larry.
All right, I think everybody's aware, we have received part of the bipartisan infrastructure legislation bill, approximately a little over $4 million a year for 5 years. As Nick's previously said, a large portion of that is going to go towards the new construction of a snow removal and equipment building and maintenance, because we've outgrown and we do not have the space to meet the requirements of the FAA for storage of the equipment we are allotted by the FAA. So this is the very first step where we're looking at the siting programming, meaning how much are we approved for, how much space do we need, how much will they pay for based on the rules, and how much do we have to fund ourselves that doesn't qualify under the snow removal and equipment building. So this is the first phase, just siting and programming of that building. So we can then in turn, which another good point is the FAA is also committed, once we get this, that we're going to apply for design only grant for this project, which is huge for us. That we've already put into we haven't applied for it yet, but we've never seen FAA, but that we will be applying for that. So this is the first step to see where we're going to put it and what we can build.
We have had a couple of conversations with some city councilors in Burlington, as well as subcommittees of the Burlington City Council associated with our previous request of rezoning with the city of South Burlington. Of course, that process has completed. We're actually navigating this slightly different, very different, I would say, than what that process went down, moved forward in the first place, redesigning a landscaping master plan. This winter, we're going to be working with some of the neighborhoods and bringing in ideas. Can we build community gardens? Can we build additional multi-use bike paths to connect to the South Burlington existing paths that are already out there in the woods on the, of course, land side of the fence? When we talk about this snow removal equipment building, originally part of that rezoning process had that snow building just about right on our fence line into residential zoned areas. We have now shifted that very, very far to the north, very close to the sewage receiving plant up there off of Passion Road or Airport.
Parkway.
Yeah, still Airport Parkway. Already next to industrial and other zones also. So this is where the scope of work is going to be started.
I believe you only need Board of Finance approval because it's less than $100,000.
Okay.
Any questions?
Did we have to make do we have to approve this? Yeah, we made a motion, right?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, we put,
just
yes.
haven't
So I haven't
voted on
called the question yet. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Robin. That carries. And the last action item is 5.03. Do we have a motion to recommend to the Board of Finance and City Council to enter into an agreement with Freeman for the design and bidding of the TSA office relocation?
So moved.
So by Helen, is there a second? Okay, I'll second that by Jeff. And Larry, you're up again.
Okay, I think if everybody can remember when they used to walk down to the administrative office from that one, the building down, there used to be a full corridor of TSA personnel management. They're no longer there because of the TIP project, except for the bomb guy. He's in our space right now.
The what?
The bomb guy, yeah. So he needs to move too. So
Yeah.
we are reconfiguring the old administrative office that was used over 6 or 7 years ago for them down there in the security, on the secure side. We have to go, because it's TSA, we go through the government services or general services through the government. So it's quite a process. So again, this is to redesign that from a architectural, mechanical, electrical, and all that type of stuff. So this does all that. It meets the GSA's requirements to get it done. And it's only Board of Finance. It's less than $100,000.
Well, there's actually.
Well, I was going to mention that, but there is no dollar outstated in the document.
So I was just curious.
I put that in there. Oh, okay, from my memory, it was $58,500 with a contingency of 10%. So that's approximately, I apologize for that. I thought I did that because I was waiting for the number when I initially did that. So.
Is it in? No.
I know it's been
Both
corrected, and I'm
places.
glad we forwarded it later for
Yeah.
people, but that hasn't, I know that's been corrected, so.
It does say it in the amendment. So if you read on the second page, the original contract value was $41,415, just about in the middle of the page. And then the revised, which is a sentence underneath, to $58,995.
And then I put 10% on that because you never know what you're going to do, so.
Let's see. But in this.
It's in the contract, not
Oh, in
in
the
the
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that one is.
We amend, the second.
It's page 2. It's page 2 of the contract.
Oh, okay, I see it now, because all I saw was the 90.
Right.
Mine says $5,880.
So if you go down 2 paragraphs, I guess you can call it.
Oh, I see,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Oh, so this was an addition.
It's an amendment.
It's an amendment.
We were under 50, we didn't have to do that, so.
Got it.
So you've never seen this contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Now you do because it's going over.
Oh,
So basically, it's relocating those personnel.
mhm.
That we do get paid rent, their space.
Which is great. A vacant space that is now a revenue producing space.
Or any further discussion from commissioners? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 503 carries. Item 6, construction update. Claire.
All right, I really had not much to report other than what was in the report, so you know, we're wrapping up and closing out a lot of projects. Marie's got her bat out. Need to get the FAA to reimburse us, and we're quickly trying to respond to them to fulfill the closeout documents to get that money back. And then we're working on the future projects. So, is there anything anybody would like me to go through or have any questions?
I just had a question on the, and maybe I've missed this. Is the cargo apron project new?
Correct.
So maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. There's a company similar to the current one, FedEx, that would like to come in with a similar size or bigger plane. Okay. There aren't too many companies that can do that. And they've approached Nick about that. So we have talked to the FAA, and we were going to design and get a grant for building it. And here again, the FAA has been nice enough to say, hey, you can get a design-only grant for that. So we're applying for a design-only grant. In the past, they didn't do that type of stuff. So they're happy with the way we get things done.
Okay.
We will do a design of a cargo apron near the existing cargo apron for a new large jet.
Okay. Now, going back to the conversation we had earlier, if it seems like it's devoted to the use of one business, how does that work? In
So this
situation?
would shift our cargo operations.
Okay.
Right now, we do have multiple cargo carriers flying in and out of the airport with FedEx, with Wiggins Airways, who contracts with both FedEx and UPS on smaller turboprop aircraft. Whenever you can build a apron if it's used for more than one entity. Right. So this would be a change in use and a change of common use cargo facilities, so that all of these companies can use this same apron.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
But you just need to design a different one because this is a larger plane.
This is a larger plane, and multiple planes of that size side by side. We're going to need more space. And we really want to bring these small prop planes, although we don't know if they'll remain or not. This is years down the road, but we want to make sure that all cargo is operated out of this one facility, or the apron in this case.
So so right now we've got we're talking about bigger than a 757.
Correct.
And right now FedEx barely fits where it is, and they're just bringing in trucks. They offload and off they go. So they have their own K-loaders and their own sort of project there. So would this be like hangar space, or really they just need apron space to have different K-loaders and different access to that one gate? Or is it the same gate?
That's right. Yeah, no, FedEx has a substantial amount of space. In fact, it's got space to park 2 757s. One behind the other over there, but it's not necessarily the most efficient use of the space. So this would shift where these parking positions are, and it wouldn't be a dedicated parking position. It would be here's the cargo pad, and these are the types of things. Yeah.
Okay. But then right now FedEx also has all of their equipment that supports that kind of up against the fence, right?
They rent and lease a building of ours they have some of their ground support equipment outside, but many of their equipment is also inside as well.
Okay. So it wouldn't really impact that piece of their operation. It's just going to add on to saying, okay, we're going to make this space more efficient so that we can add more cargo services for this operator.
That's correct. And it really is extending the existing cargo apron from the existing location towards our new taxiway Kilo.
And we have forwarded airspace evaluation to the FAA before we get going.
Yep.
Right. Cool. And I think it would be great to have more cargo operations. The Wiggins planes have kind of moved all around the airport. They were in the valley for a long time, and then they moved over to near the Beacon ramp, right, near Hobie stuff. And then sometimes they come into Heritage. They were a menace down in the valley. Because the UPS trucks would come careening around the corner in between the airplanes where the students were about to start up and move. And you have brand new students like trying to manage UPS trucks, zipping in and out because they're always in a hurry. And then if they were late, that was another issue. So it advocates strongly not moving the smaller cargo carriers back to the valley because it was nothing short of hazardous.
Yeah, no, that is not happening.
This will help us.
All right. All right. So that's my only question.
Any further discussion from commissioners? All right, thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Next up is Marie with the financial update.
Hello, and good evening, everyone. So we have a finance package this week because the meeting, it made it more difficult to get the most accurate financial information and revenues. So I thought it would probably make the most sense to not include an updated profit and loss that had estimated numbers, but to give you the actual numbers and do that at our next meeting, which will be in January. I am able to report the cash balance statements that we have and the AIP report. So those are in there. Our cash was holding very strong as of the end of November. We had over $6 million in the airport checking account. We did not owe any money. And the other significant item to report is that the airport did pay off a $2.5 million on the grant anticipation note that we had. We paid that off in November. This is an AIP. We are still waiting for the money from the FAA, but they are very close to finalizing that closeout, and we expect that probably within the next few weeks. So to renew a $10 million grant anticipation note or line of credit for us that is going to start hopefully this December and will continue on for 1 year. And then the AIP, what we are owed from the FAA is about almost $5.5 million, of which half of that is due from that one AIP that we're anticipating very soon. So those are the highlights. I know that Nick mentioned how well our parking garage is doing, and I don't reflect that here, but I can tell you we are year to date. So July through November, we are at 102% of our revenues and what they were if we go back and look back to pre-COVID, the same time period, fiscal year 2020. So that would have been July through November of 2019. So we are very happy that we're seeing that. I do agree with Nick, and we think that there's probably people parking longer in the airport, and they're happy. Garage, it is very easy to access. Oh no.
We got you back. Yeah, maybe just turn the video off.
I think sometimes the streaming from my location gets caught up. So apologize on that, but where did I lose you?
Just seconds ago.
Okay.
We heard most of it. It was just interrupted.
Sorry about that. I was hoping that wouldn't happen. No, that is sort of the highlights. Our revenues continue to be strong. So I'll be happy to report that in our next meeting. Does anybody have any questions for me, though?
No.
I hear none, Marie. So you are all set. Thank you for your presentation. Next up is item 8, noise feedback from Hannah.
So we only had 7 additional comments since we reported on this last month. And just one thing I wanted to highlight that's new this month is the heat map that we've added. If you are on board docs right now, if you want to just refresh, we added the other link because it's called Complain Count by Address because the first one wasn't loading correctly. So.
Yeah,
I couldn't get it. Yeah.
So,
That was my fault. For some reason, I dragged a dot URL,
No,
which I have no idea.
Yeah, but I saw he added the new link. So if you're on board docs with us, if you want to check it out, it helps have a visual aid for what we're the numbers that we're reporting in terms of the individual address commenters, where those locations are located. So it's by the size and the color, like the red it has a little map below detailing it. It helps to give a better understanding of where these comments are coming from.
I'm always surprised that there are so many from Burlington. So this cluster, the big red dot, is that, let's see, is it kind of weather related or seasonal in terms of the planes have to come in over that area to come into land, or is that where they take off more often in the
What would be,
summer?
as you say that, it kind of sparked, it would be nice to add the airport to the map so you could see the direction of the, even though I think we all know, but just see the direction of the arrivals and departures, and then maybe add the track information of where aircraft go correlated
Flight
to
paths.
the flight paths.
So, or a
Is
lot
that
of flight
something that's
paths
right over
over.
They are,
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Because they'll typically
New
take
York
off and
ones.
then take that left-hand turn or continue
Okay.
over Colchester, Mounts Bay area. These, and just to clarify, these dots aren't the, like if a red dot is there, it's not more people, that's one person, that's one household. So that's one
Number of
household
comments.
that has filed 70
So
to,
one house made between 70 and
That's correct.
221 calls.
that's correct.
That's a lot of angry ultra.
I'm really angry.
Whereas the light green small
Holy
ones
moly.
is, so these are all
Speed dial.
individual reports.
Wow.
Just so you notice, there's someone who has joined us with a raised hand.
Oh.
So it was after with forum. So I just wanted to tell you. Thank you.
Who's joined us? Oh. I don't see one. So Helen, the number one thing that decides which way an airplane lands is where the wind is. So we always land into the wind. But the second most thing that decides which way we land is if the wind is calm, we have a preferred runway of the south runway, which is 15 for large airplanes. And that's so that they don't have to come in over the mountains for the approach. So you're always going to get more traffic if the wind is out of the south and if the wind is calm over that area. The other little traffic that goes on the other runway, which is more almost dead north and south, is all general aviation small planes. And despite the fact that we sound like a herd of mosquitoes, we don't make any kind of noise compared to the jet aircraft.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments from commissioners on this section? All right, thank you, Hannah. Next is director's report.
Mine is very, very quick tonight. So I can spend most of the time in executive session. Really just some staff updates. We had a holiday party that Hannah and Jillian Waite, who was actually on tonight as well, who helped plan it. We had all of the airlines, all the staff from around the terminal join us for hot cocoa and pastries and goodies up in the mezzanine area to help decorate with holiday decorations all over the airport. So of course, as you walk through, you can start seeing more and more of that. We'll have a holiday event in about 2 weeks with all of our staff. We'll invite the commissioners to that too. It's going to be during the day, of course, but over at our maintenance shop. And yeah, it's still a very, very busy time of year, but trying to, except for Larry, trying to alleviate some of the pressures of so many things happening all at once and design work and new projects. Speaking of new projects, it is in Larry's report, but our North Concourse renovation project has kicked off, and we're going to start putting up temporary walls up on the north concourse and start taking out all of that glass from the old security checkpoint and start building and removing the escalators, building new floor, expanding our gate areas over on the north concourse. Starting next week, it'll take a couple of months, which also includes a new ramp over there, as well as 2 new automatic exit lanes, one in the north and one in the south, which literally means no personnel needs to stand at an exit door any longer. It's an automatic security exit door that Dave and his team are going to be managing.
And I did receive the contract this afternoon, so we can get that one.
Good. Excellent. And that's already made it through commissioning, city council.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all I have.
Right. Thank you, Nick. Greg, if you're with us, can you just briefly unmute?
I am with you. Sorry for the delay.
All right, no problem, Greg. Glad that you could make it. So Nick, thank you for your director's report. Item 10 is commissioner items. Commissioners, is there anything that you wish to bring up? Okay, move on to item 11, follow-up items. This one is me. So the airport commission rules and procedures. So just an update on this. As you all know, at the last commission meeting, we got an update on suggested guidance on how to handle public meeting law and all that good stuff. So I have taken the draft rules, and thank you for everyone who's contributed to that. And I've added a lot of the things that we learned in that session. And I'm just about ready to send that off to the city legal team to review and get their feedback. And assuming that they give it the thumbs up, it'll come back to the commission in January to review. And we'll have one last chance to go through it and give some thoughts, and we would move to approve it in February. So that's the plan of action with that.
Thank you for doing it.
And thank you for everyone who's helped me.
Good update too, because acting city attorney Kim Studerman is on right now.
Oh, fantastic.
That she's an attendee, so
Excellent.
she'll join us for executive session.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Kim, for your help with this document, or someone on your team. So that is item 11. So item 12 is executive session. And we're moving into executive session to discuss some litigation. Do I hear a motion to enter into executive session?
So there's 2 recommended motions for the commission to enter executive.
All right. So I guess I can read it. I'm not sure if everyone has it up. But, so the recommended motion is to move into executive session pursuant to 1 BSA 313 subsection A1 after making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge of pending civil litigation would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage. Based upon that finding, move into executive session to discuss such matter. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
And Helen moves. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Robin. So we will now move into executive session.
Can I
Before
just ask the question, will we come back to adjourn, or
yes.
because we might have an action?
There is no proposed action after this executive session.
So we could adjourn to executive session or not?
That's a great question.
I defer to someone with stronger.
I mean, that's what we often do at city council. If there's no action that we're going to report.
You end the meeting.
Yes,
Then go
because
to
we've got,
executive.
you know.
But we do have a public person on, so we have to go out. Right.
Well, Kim is on. If you want to put her over, she might be able to.
Well, maybe in
She's
the
on the
future.
attendees.
Yeah, Kim wants to weigh in on that.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good question. We, in a different board I'm on, we always go to executive session, then come out of executive session, then adjourn.
Right, because there could in theory be
additional.
an action that is not planned to come out of executive session that
Well, usually,
unexpectedly does.
I think though you have to state in the executive
Right,
session
we would have to have the agenda.
intention of having an action item.
Right, and another
Yes.
But anyway, we've got Kim. So Kim, what are your- she's like, stop talking.
No, you're good. I mean, you can basically just, say that you don't anticipate that there's going to be an action. And so you will, when you come out, you're just going to adjourn. I mean, typically you do come out and adjourn, but as far as people from the public that are watching, I guess they should be aware that you're not planning on any action. So there'll be like actually nothing except for an adjournment afterwards.
Okay, so to clarify, can we adjourn now or should we adjourn after the executive session?
You should adjourn after the executive session because it's still part of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, so if we are ready to move into executive session, if Hannah, you can work your technology magic and then let us know.
Yep, so we will be muted and then we will join on executive session, then adjourn when we return here. So we'll do that now.
Because Greg technically needs to say he's present.
I'm present.
Thank you, Greg. All right, so
Move adjournment?
before we move adjournment, I just want to clarify the date of the next meeting. So I see the suggestion to cancel the regularly scheduled meeting for December 21st. And the question then would be for January, do we want to have the regular meeting on January 18th or do we want to have a special meeting on January 4th or some other alternative? So Nick, I don't know if you have an opinion on that based on what might be coming for our review.
Typically, I would say let's keep the first my new request is the first Wednesday of the month. The first Wednesday of January is going to be very difficult, especially trying to get the commission items available to you that week prior.
Oh, okay.
So I would say either cancel January or keep it down to the 18th.
Okay, I think we'll keep it on the 18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will plan on January 18th for our next commission meeting. Right now, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Helen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
See it.